At this point, we're a month into the 2023-24 college basketball season, and from everything I've seen so far, there's nothing that tells me Carolina can't win the ACC.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Friday, December 8th, 2023. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast. We won't be recording this weekend, and so I got to wish my wife a happy birthday tomorrow. We're going to have a great weekend. Can't wait to celebrate all together with our family. It's going to be awesome. Folks, welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Shade, and I want to thank you everydayers in particular for making Locked On Tar Heels your first listen or watch to get your team every day. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/lockedoncollege and use code LOCKEDONCollege for a first deposit match up to $100. Daily fantasy sports made easy. Folks, it's great to be together on a Friday. We're going to have some great conversations. By the way, if you'd like to have more conversations about Carolina, anything, and all sorts of like I was just talking with somebody about movies earlier tonight, come join us in the Locked On Tar Heels Discord. It's a blast. The link to it's in the show notes. We'd love to have you as part of it with us. Coming up today on the show, been saving this for today. There were rumors of it earlier in the week, but it's a whole nother round of ACC implosion talk. Feels like we've been here about approximately 593 times before. We'll get to their news on Carolina football in terms of someone turning pro, some sad news there, and another NCAA unbelievable thing that I don't know how they're getting away with. We'll get to all that soon. But first, I want to tell you why the North Carolina Tar Heels are going to be the men's ACC regular season champion this year. That's right. I'm telling you right now that from what I've seen, these Tar Heels are going to win the ACC. I firmly and fully and truthfully believe that. I hope you do too. It's okay to not, but I think they are. We're a month into this thing. Remember, the season started back on November 6th. Here we are. Today's December 8th. So, okay, we're a month and 2 days. Fine, whatever. Get real specific with me. Fine. I like it because I'm here for the specificity. As I look at the ACC and the 15 teams in it, I see 5 of the 15 teams that have a legitimate shot, that are good enough, that have the pieces that could win the ACC regular season. Now, obviously, some of it is personnel. Some of it is who you play and who you don't play and how often, right? Like if you only have to play Duke once or Miami once, for example, or Carolina, for example, has to play Duke twice every year. That's going to make things tougher for the Tar Heels. But the 5 realistic candidates I see to win the ACC are as follows. I'll give them to you alphabetically. Clemson, yeah, they're legit. Duke, Miami, North Carolina, and Virginia. To me, one of those 5 schools, like I'm saying, I fully believe it will be North Carolina, but I would 100, I'm not a betting man. That's just not what I like to do because I would stress over it, and I don't need that in my life. But if I were, and there were some line where I could put money that one of those 5 teams would win, that's 100% what I would do. Here, let me give you the most recent odds from FanDuel. Duke plus 240, Carolina plus 290, Miami plus 470, Virginia next at plus 600, and then Clemson at plus 650. And just to show you how much space there is between these top 5 and next, all of those are 6 plus 650 or a lower number. The next closest is Virginia Tech at plus 2,300. The odds makers feel this same thing. From all the various betting sites I've looked at, I won't name any other names because FanDuel is the only one that is our official betting partner here at Locked On. But UNC has closed the gap on Duke at all of those sites. Carolina is second at all of them, but that lead is narrowed. So let me give you, on the North Carolina side of it, why I believe the Tar Heels will win the ACC. And then on the other team side, the other 4 of those, why I think Carolina will win the ACC. On the Tar Heels side of things, there's a couple sub points under this. But number one, to me, this is easily the best team the Tar Heels have had since 2018-19. And yes, even more so than the team that went to the national championship game a couple years ago. That this team, I feel like, is deeper. This team is better connected. This team has more sustainability. This team has more skills that are repeatable game in and game out. That team, absolutely, they found it at the right moment in the final third of the season. The current Tar Heels, I believe, have the ability to do it throughout the regular season, win the regular season, and then do the same types of things in the postseason. And yes, I recognize that I'm saying that even coming off of Tuesday's loss to UConn. It's okay. This happens. It's a long season. Stick with it. Another part of the reason for Carolina is I think the composition, in particular of the starting five, works really well, almost in like a 2012 sort of way. You've got a true point guard who can set everyone else up, call his own number when he needs to, who, oh, by the way, is developing more and more and more by the day and by the game. You've got a shooting guard in RJ Davis who has played a lot of point guard, so has those capabilities, but who is the leading free throw shooter in not only Carolina history, but in the ACC right now, who is playing lights out. His shooting numbers from three are coming up. He's getting to the lane. He's getting to the rim, either scoring or getting fouled. You've got a small forward, a guy at the three who is 25 years old. And yes, Cormac Ryan is in a shooting slump right now. He's not shooting his best, but he is going to get there. I said it yesterday. I truly believe that after this break and the opportunity to let his ankle heal from that injury, Cormac Ryan's going to be ready to go. You've also in the starting lineup got a guy playing four, a playmaking four, who can hit from outside, who can do a multitude of things to make your team better, whether it's passing, scoring, defending, whatever it is. Harrison Ingram is a thick dude that's going to do it and can use his weight to get there. And then you got the man in the middle, a fifth-year center who is an absolute gamer, the all-time leader in rebounds and double-doubles in Carolina history, who, you know, we're a little like right now because Mondo talking about he felt something when he was shooting free throws the other night. So we're going to have to kind of wait and see on that, and hopefully everything's good. But the composition of this starting five makes a ton of sense to me, and you can see it. And remember, this is a group that is just still learning how to play together to the best of its efficiency and capability. Another reason I believe Carolina can win this thing, they're the fourth most experienced team in all of Division I. That's what you need when we're talking about ACC regular season. You got 10 at home, you got 10 on the road. If you want to go win on the road, I don't care what conference you're in, that is extremely difficult. And in order to win this conference, the Tar Heels are going to need to go, I'll say, 7-3 or better on the road in ACC play. And you get 3 of them right out of the gate as you start the main chunk of those final 19 games. So that's good, and that's what you need to win the conference. And then the last thing I'll say on the Carolina side is that there's enough of a bench that it will work. I know yesterday we just talked about the bench usage currently declining. You can go back and listen to that if you need to, but I believe that there's enough there. Seth Trimble's emergence has been a nice revelation for Carolina, and I think he's only going to continue to grow on that and expand on that both offensively and defensively. And that 3G lineup, that 3-guard lineup, we've been seeing some with Seth, RJ, and Elliot together. I think they can make life miserable for some teams with what they can do, with their speed, with getting to the rim, all sorts of stuff. Just keep watching that. Jay Wash, I think, is going to continue to take strides. Jalen Withers let's just be quite frank about this. Has not found his way yet for North Carolina. He has the athleticism to do so. He has the capability. He just needs to settle in, trust his basketball instincts, and keep buying into what the coaches are asking him. He'll get there. And beyond that, I think Zayden High can offer a couple minutes here and there, even this year as freshman year. Paxton Wojcik, you know, we don't expect him to get a ton of minutes game in and game out. But again, he is an experienced young man who is not going to hurt you, at least on the mental side of the game. Like the physical attributes just to compete at this level, just to be truthful, just aren't fully there. But he has things he can add for this team. On the other team's side of it, let's just burn through these: Duke, Miami, Virginia, and Clemson. Duke, this is a tale. How many times have we heard this? Oh, Duke has won the offseason. Look at this roster. It's so great and so mighty and so powerful and so wonderful. And then they get in the season. It's like, I mean, they're good, but it's not world beaters. For what they were touted to be, it's underwhelming to me. They've got no true five. I can't wait to see what Mondo does to Kyle Filipowski. Now, I know that, he's got to deal with Flip on the other end. So maybe we'll see some Ryan Young from Duke. I don't know. But they don't have a true five. Tyrese Proctor. He is, to me, not only not taking a step forward that we all thought he would, I think he's regressed some this year. I think part of that is that he doesn't have Derek Lively as a rim runner to just lob it up to. Also, Proctor's currently kind of banged up. We'll see. It sounds like it's just a sprained ankle, and he'll be back sooner rather than later. But Duke has 3 losses. On the Miami side, Matthew Cleveland is fine, but he's not Jordan Miller from last year. Carolina is much deeper than Miami and can get into their legs, similar to what Kentucky did. They, to me, are really missing Isaiah Wong. I think Miami's a good team. But, Nigel Pack, who's like, hey, he's got to take a step forward. He's not even the leading scorer. He's not even the second or third leading scorer. Nigel Pack's the 4th leading scorer on this team. Wooga Poplar's the dude leading the charge right now, with Omier just slightly behind him. As for Virginia, they look like Virginia. Great defense, it'll travel. Offense, suspect at best, and we'll hang them out to dry some games. And remember, Carolina under Hubert Davis is much more suited to attack what they do with that pack line defense than a Roy Williams era Carolina team. Now, Reese Beekman, great. Isaac McNeely shooting the lights out right now. Go check out his 3-point numbers. Their lone losses to a really good Wisconsin team. Wisconsin is doing it. But in that game, they only scored 41. So where's the offense going to come from for Virginia? Clemson, they right now might be the Tar Heels' biggest threat to winning this conference. PJ Hall is having a year. To me, he and RJ are the front runners for ACC Player of the Year at this moment. There's other dudes in that conversation. But they got Chase Hunter back. They got Joe Girard, who transferred over from Syracuse, and other returners. They're bought in, and they're a great team. They are tough. Be on the lookout for Clemson. If you haven't seen them, go watch it. Now, hear me not saying that Carolina is perfect. We know they've got flaws. We know there are shortcomings. But I believe that what they are capable of can trump so many of those and win this ACC. And they are flaws that I'm less worried about than that of the other teams we've just talked about. And oh, by the way, at KenPom, the Tar Heels are the #1 rated ACC team. At BartTorvik.com, Carolina is the #1 rated ACC team. Busting Brackets, who does a great job getting stuff out, just put out their most recent ACC Power Rankings. Who's #1? Tar Heels. People are seeing it. It's not just me, and it's not just you. Again, Carolina, ACC regular season champs, book it. Speaking of our beloved ACC, I am worried for this conference yet again. I'm concerned that the Florida State snub will turn out to be the straw that broke the ACC camel's back. I hate it, but I do think that's maybe true. We'll talk about it in just a second. Right after I tell you, this episode of Locked On Tar Heels is brought to you by Prize Picks. Testing my skills on Prize Picks this season is the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. You got the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Prize Picks is really simple to play. You just make your picks and submit your entry, all in less than 60 seconds. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, an enormous selection of players and stat types are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Just you against the numbers. You pick more or less on 2 to 6 players' stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. How about our guy Josh Downs, former Carolina receiver playing for the Colts? His receiving yards are Sunday are set for 40.5 against the Bengals. Come on, more for sure. Go to prizepicks.com/lockedoncollege and use code lockedoncollege for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, that's prizepicks.com/lockedoncollege and use code lockedoncollege for a first deposit match to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. All right, I wanted to wait till Friday, till the end of the. It's like, you know how you wait to give somebody a pink slip till Friday so they don't have to whatever the rest of the week. And so it's like Friday afternoon. Hey, Isaac, can you come into my office and shut the door behind you? We need to have a little talk here. That's where I'm at with this. This ACC stuff was the FSU college football playoff snub. Is it going to turn out to be the straw that ultimately and finally broke the ACC camel's back, at least as we know it? With the snub, ACC implosion talks are heating up. The rumor mill is spiraling again, particularly down south with the Florida schools. FSU has been so vocal as an entity, as a university, as an athletics department about we're the big dogs around here. We're the ones that carry the most cachet, which first off, I say, nice try, Seminoles. No, that's cute. But secondly, on the football side of things, it's Clemson right now, but historically and big picture, it might be Florida State, or it's either Florida State or Miami, one of those South teams. All that to say, Florida State's been chafed for a long time. Earlier this week, in the wake of all this, there was news in Miami, kind of peeking elsewhere. Where was that? Well, there were rumors of 7 total ACC schools who had contacted the Big 12, interestingly enough. Now, hear me say, these are all rumors, nothing reported. No, I'm not talking any fire smoke situations. But here's what's been true about all of these expansion things, more often than not. Rather than some big media outlet expressing this news first, rather than one of their reporters being the one to break it, a lot of times it is like somebody covering that school or those schools. They're like, hey, this is happening. And then it bears out to be true. And that's kind of where this rumor mill is at right now. So those schools, Virginia Tech, Pitt, Syracuse, NC State, Georgia Tech, Miami, Louisville, Boston College, and Wake Forest. The rumor is that those 7 schools, that's 8 schools. I just named 8. That those 8 schools, Virginia Tech, Pitt, Syracuse, NC State, Georgia Tech, Miami, Louisville, Boston College, Wake. That's 9. I can't count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. Those 9 schools have contacted the Big 12 in some form or fashion to look into things. Whoo! So here we are again. The on again, off again of these teams at the top of the ACC looking to get out has been looming for some time with threats, whether empty or veiled or whatever. But this isn't the top end necessarily schools. You know, sometimes some of them will pop, whatever. But on this list, you did not hear the name Clemson. You did not hear Florida State. You did not hear North Carolina, nor was there a Duke. Now there's Miami. You know, you get some of those. But, man, this is interesting at the least. That if true, and why would this not be? You know, is it just like, oh, we're making assumptions because of the Florida State stuff? No. And where would you get a list of schools of this nature? Because we all know, let's just say this right now. If Florida State were an SEC school, a Big 10 school, heck, a Big 12 school even, and this whole Jordan Travis thing was going on, you know they would have been given the benefit of the doubt over Alabama. Look at that Florida State defense. It's legit enough. I don't care who's under center. If Florida State's defense can continue doing what they're doing, come on, man. This whole thing is messed up. But it all means that if you're Florida State, of course you're like, well, then let's get out. So whether it's, for me, this entire time, the entire length of this potential conference move transition conversation, I've said Big Ten is the one for the Tar Heels that makes the most sense from multiple levels. But right now you hear these other schools reaching out to Big 12. Before this, all the conversation has been either Big 10 or SEC with all the ACC schools. So this opens up more possibilities. Now, again, this is these schools reportedly reaching out to the Big 12. Who knows at this point the level of interest that the Big 12 would have? Is there reciprocity back and forth? It's, is it unrequited love? I don't know yet. We're going to have to wait and find out with that. But here's the other thing for me in all of this. Sure, these rumors pop up all the time, but at the end of the day, what does it always come down to? We don't know how to get out of the grant of rights, the media deal that the ACC has with the ESPN, and how these schools are under that. Y'all, ain't nobody leaving until they can figure out how to snake past this thing from a legal standpoint or pay bukus of millions of dollars to get out of it. Now, if that makes sense for you financially and you're able to do what you need to do and then recuperate it on down the road somewhere or whatever, fine, cool, great. But to this point, there has been no concrete of anyone capable of either finding a legal loophole or being willing to deal with all that money that they got to deal with. Now, that doesn't mean it ain't going to happen, because at some point it's going to happen. It's just the question is who's going to be like. I saw a headline, in kind of preparing for this talk of like, hey, watch for FSU to do something by Christmas. As I sit here recording this, a little bit after midnight on Friday, December 8th, we're 17 days from that. Is this going to happen? Because I'm just telling you right now, once one ACC domino falls, whether through finding a legal loophole or paying up, it's going to start falling like flies. I'm not saying necessarily it's going to be a Pac-12 situation all over again, but Commissioner Phillips didn't backfill, and I mean backfill, with Cal, Stanford, and SMU for nothing. It's to protect the ACC's rear so that if and when Carolina, Clemson, Miami, Florida State, whomever it is, does leave, they're covered in terms of a number of teams. Now, here's something else for me on the NC State front. You're the ones, Wolfpack, by the way, who changed your vote in that whole thing to make it to where the new 3 schools could come in. And now you're going to be part of this group that's reaching out to the Big 12. Okay, cool. I got no time for that. So what's Carolina in all this? Here's the good news for the Tar Heels. We are a extremely desirable entity in this because of the basketball brand, because of the national brand, because of what Carolina does across all of their varsity athletics to be so superior. When it's time, Carolina is going to have a pillow to lay its head on when it goes to bed at night. I'm not concerned about that at all. But I'm tired of all the lead up. If something's going to happen, let's do it. And if not, let's quit playing at it. I'm kind of there, because you're probably tired of hearing me talk about it too. All right, great. Now, we got some interesting stuff going on. We got some transfer portal / Tar Heels turning pro from the football team news. And randomly enough, I got some men's soccer frustrations. What? Yeah, I actually do. We'll talk about it in just a second. Right after I let you know that this episode of Locked on Tar Heels is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers to roof racks, exhaust kits, or LED headlights, whether you're into speed or power or style, eBay Motors has it all for you. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, that part is guaranteed to fit your ride, or you get your money back every time. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. All right, let's start with football. On Thursday evening, we got some sad news that Mr. Tez Walker has accepted an invite to the Reese's Senior Bowl, indicating that he will be leaving college and heading off to the NFL draft. It is undoubtedly the right move for him. You just always kind of have that hope, and especially with the uncertainty, like I full well believe that he was in Chapel Hill this year because of Drake May. With that uncertainty of like who'd be throwing me balls next year, I can't blame him in any single sort of way. So this was announced in a tweet from the Senior Bowl, actually, is how kind of news broke. It said, quote, boom, wide receiver Devontae Walker from UNC football has accepted his invitation to the 2024 Reese's Senior Bowl. By the way, how do you say that chocolate covered peanut butter cup? Are you a Reese's or a Reese's? I think most of my life I said Reese's. And then somebody was like, bro, it doesn't say Reese's. It's Reese's. Belongs to Reese. Reese's. I get it right now. And I apologize to the company for getting your product name wrong for the majority of the decades of my life. I've seen the light. And here's the interesting news for Carolina with that is there's two other wide receivers already in the transfer portal in Andre Green Jr., which is like, you just kind of you just had to hope that he was going to find it. Hadn't this year, whatever. And then Ty Chapman as well. So we'll have to keep an eye on what Coach Brown's going to do in the receiver core and how that comes together. More football news as we get it. At this point, we still don't know like who's playing in the bowl. Is Drake playing in the bowl? Is Tez going to play in the bowl? We don't know yet. We'll keep our eyes and ears out for all of that information. Now let's turn to men's soccer. I got to be honest. I enjoy like tournament soccer, World Cup, Olympics. I've just never been able to be much of a soccer fan. I enjoy going, but I like runs. I don't want something that ends 1-0, as Carolina's closing game did this year. I'm trying to get it and enjoy it more. But so we don't talk a ton about it, but this one, dirty. Men's soccer lost last week 1-0 to Oregon State in the Elite Eight. But here's the thing. Oregon State was using an ineligible player who had received too many yellow cards throughout the course of this season. From John Canzano on Twitter, who covers sports up in Oregon. Quote, good news, ellipsis. Oregon State men's soccer is in the College Cup, which is what soccer calls the Final Four. Bad news, ellipsis. NCAA is on a conference call with OSU administrators now. Beavers may have used an ineligible player in the quarterfinals. Javier Armas got his 8th yellow card on November 25th against SMU and should have sat out the quarterfinal. Who was it that Oregon State played in that quarterfinal? Yeah, you know it, none other than the University of North Carolina Tar Heels. And it's not like he's just some rando that sits on the bench. This dude played 90 whole minutes in that match. So here's the thing that clearly that's great news for the Tar Heels. Ineligible player was used. They're going to have to forfeit the game. We move on to the College Cup, the Final Four, right? No, that is not right. For some reason, instead of forcing them to forfeit the game, their coach has been suspended and he will be suspended as well. Are you kidding me? No. You didn't do the job to not use an ineligible player. You forfeit. It's as simple as that. If you can't keep your house in order, then you can't play. You're done. Go back to Corvallis and we'll see you later. What is the NCAA doing here? And also, shouldn't the NCAA be governing this? Why should Oregon State be keeping up with their own thing? How are we to ever trust somebody? And by the way, if this is how we're going to do it, why can't I do this? Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize I received 2 technicals and I had actually been ejected from the game and then stayed on to score 20 points. Well, I guess I'll just be suspended for our next game when we play terrible Charleston Southern. But these points all count and we win. Or, oh, I didn't realize that was my third strike. I just stayed up here and went ahead and hit a game-winning home run. I'll get suspended for the next game and it'll be fine. That's the logic we're talking about here. Come on, man. That makes zero sense. Carolina should be the benefactor here. If Oregon State can't take care of their own business and playing by the rules as set out by the NCAA, then they can't play. Plain and clear, as simple as that. Okay, calendar. Honestly, not much going on this weekend. There's nothing Friday, nothing Saturday, but on Sunday, women's basketball is back in action. By the way, on Wednesday, they beat UNC Greensboro 81-66. Now, they got UConn on Sunday at 5 p.m. up in Uncasville, Connecticut. That is a tough ask. It's on ESPN as part of the Hall of Fame Women's Showcase. Ladies are currently 6-3. So that means in a span of 3 games, they will have played both South Carolina and UConn. Woof. We believe in Coach Banghart's team and would love to see them go up to Connecticut and get this dub. Folks, it's been a great week to be together on Locked On Tar Heels. It's been a great day to be together. I hope you have enjoyed it as well. I want to remind you that coming up on Monday's show, we're going to do a Mailbag Monday since there's no basketball game to report on the men's side from this weekend. We're going to do that on Monday's show and then several other topics throughout the week, and we'll get to Kentucky on Saturday of next week. So we'll get all that prepped and set and ready next Friday on the show. As a reminder, we'd love to talk with you this weekend. Come join us in the Discord, especially once we get back around the games next Saturday against Kentucky. You're going to want to be in there. It's going to be hot. The link for that is in the show notes. You can also email us, lockedontarheels@gmail.com. Would also love it and would appreciate it if you would subscribe to the show on video if you're watching or on audio if you're listening. It helps. All of those things help. Smash the like button so people know you were here, and we'd love to hear your comments on today's show. It's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll be back together on Monday. Hope you have a great and safe weekend, but until then, peace.